Okay, now let's talk about another exercise here. This is called editing the content of your movie. Since we are taking the editor role and we talked about editing or changing the elements of it, and that changes the experience we have of it, now let's talk about editing the content of our movie. You know, the content of what's in our movie also determines our experience. For example, think about an R-rated movie. You know, an R-rated movie has excessive violence, intense and graphic scenes, offensive language. It's usually dark and obscure with a tone of seriousness sometimes, threatening circumstances or death, you know, versus a G-rated movie. It has adventure and light topics and colors and a moral to the story and, of course, our favorite happy ending. You know, again, it's usually bright and colorful with a tone of love and safety. But what makes the difference between these two? It's the editing, of course. You know, the editing will determine if a movie is going to be G or rated R. So I want you to introduce to you another method for editing the movie in your brain. And it's called editing the content exercise. I mean, think about it. What if you could replace all the R-rated content in your mind with G-rated content? How do you think you would feel about your movie? We're going to run through an exercise going to show you how to do exactly that in your heart and mind. That by editing the content in our mind, by doing so, we'll feel better about the situation. You know, if your movie ends normally right now in certain death, we're going to change it to a happy ending. If your movie has dragons or monsters, we're going to change them to butterflies and bunny rabbits. And you can run this exercise whenever you feel like the content of your movie in your mind is not serving you. Just change the content and see how differently you feel and the power it gives you to act. So let's get started. Again, let's start with a situation that you're dissatisfied with in your life. Okay? And you can still use the one that you used previously. Maybe we can get it even more lower on that scale of 1 to 10. I want you to start by imagining that, like we did before, playing out like a movie in your mind, okay, from beginning to end. So you see that movie screen in your mind. Now you change some elements if it's the old one or a new one. See it playing out in your mind from beginning to end. On a scale of 1 to 10, how intense is the dissatisfaction that you feel with that situation? And write that down. Now I want you to do something different. I want you to do something called breaking state. Meaning, let's just change our mind for a second. Like, this helps. How much is 5 plus 7? That's right. The answer is 12. Great. That's called the breaking state. Okay. Now I want you to all of a sudden create a new picture in your mind. Picture something you would like to be in your movie. You know, something that we're going to replace the bad stuff in your movie with. That'll make it a different experience. Like, what would you like the movie to play out as? Or how would you like it to play out? I want you now to picture that thing in your mind right now. Okay, that good thing, that good situation. And I want you now to imagine that entire scene in its entirety. This is you enjoying the new you or the new concept in your mind, a new movie. It's just a brand new person, brand new movie. I want you to go ahead and enjoy that entire experience. Now we're going to do something special. We're going to start again with that movie screen in your mind. Now imagine that new situation, the really nice one, the one that you like, shrinking to a little bitty screen on the bottom, or a little dot on the bottom lower left-hand corner of the movie screen in your mind. Okay, it's just still there. It's just right there, but it's really little on the bottom lower left-hand corner. I want you now to run the original movie like you did before. You know, the one that you didn't really like, the one that was dissatisfying. Start running that movie like before. Except this time, as the original negative movie runs, I want you to imagine that little dot on the lower left-hand corner, the one that of the experience that you really want to happen, all of a sudden blowing up and taking over the entire screen and playing itself out. So again, you started with the old movie, that little movie just whoosh, kind of expanded, and all of a sudden it took up the entire screen, and now the good movie is playing. And now I want you to break your state. Again, how much is 7 plus 17? That's right, it's 24. Now I want to do it again. Go ahead on that movie screen in your mind, run the original movie, the negative one, from the beginning, with that little dot in the bottom left-hand corner. And as the old movie starts, whoosh, imagine that little dot expanding and Now the good movie is playing because it took up the entire screen, and it plays itself out. Now break state again. How much is 9 plus 16? 25, that's right. I want you to do this exercise about 5 to 10 times. If you want to pause the video and just go ahead and do the exercise 5 to 10 times, you go ahead. Go ahead, try to go ahead and run. Remember, the whole concept is you have this movie screen in your mind. There's a little dot on the lower left-hand corner, which is the good sort of movie that you want to run. All of a sudden, the old movie, dissatisfying movie, starts running, and then whoosh! That little movie expands, and it takes up the entire screen, that little dot, and now it's only the good movie that's playing. I want you to do that for about 5 to 10 times. Just go ahead and pause the video and go ahead and do it. And make sure you break state between each time you do it. Just ask yourself, like, what is 5 plus 5 or 2 plus 2? That usually works for me. Okay, welcome back. Now I want you to try to run the original negative movie, you know, the R-rated movie like you did as usual. What picture immediately comes to mind? That's right, the new Happier You, or the new Happier movie plays. Now what would you rate your movie? It's probably rated G. Happy endings. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how intense is the feeling that you feel of dissatisfaction for the movie now? It's probably a lot lower, isn't it? That's the power of editing the content of your movie.